just praying that somebody's pulling her out of the river right now. She texted me that they were landing in 20 minutes. The rest of my text did not get delivered.
That's what a family member of the deadly plane collision victim says. Good evening, I'm Haley Hollinger and welcome to Newswatch. The grim task of recovering the remains of crash victims and evidence continues in the cold waters of DC's Potomac River this hour. 60 passengers and 4 crew members were on the American Airlines flight that was coming from Wichita, Kansas, bound for Reagan International Airport in Washington.
Here's video from around 9 p.m. last night. As you can see on your screen, we are learning that figure skaters from Russia have also died in this plane crash. About 60 passengers and 4 crew members were on board the flight that was coming from Wichita, Kansas, bound for Reagan International Airport, as Haley just said. 3 soldiers were on board of the helicopter.
The helicopter apparently flew into the path of the jet while it was landing. Back in Wichita, community members are reacting to the tragedy.
All of us are going to know people who know people. So it's a great time to double down on caring for each other, upholding each other, holding hands maybe a little more than we used to, and continuing to pray and depend on the Lord in this time.
There was no immediate word on the cause of the collision, but officials say flight conditions were clear as the jet arrived from Kansas. Several federal agencies are now investigating how these 2 aircrafts wound up on a collision course.
Brian Abel brings us more from Washington and reaction from the president this afternoon, and we must warn some viewers, some images may be disturbing.
American Airlines says Flight 5342 from Wichita, operated by PSA, was on approach to land at Reagan National Airport when it and an Army Black Hawk helicopter from the 12th Aviation Battalion, similar to this one, collided in flight.
It was a fairly experienced crew and that was doing a required annual night evaluation. They did have night vision goggles.
There was not a breakdown in communication between the military helicopter and American airline flight. There was communication between the aircraft and the tower.
Among the PSA jet's passengers, several athletes, coaches, and family members returning from a development camp with U.S. figure skating. In a statement, the governing body said it is devastated by this unspeakable tragedy. At the White House, President Donald Trump addressing the tragedy.
As one nation, we grieve for every precious soul that has been taken.
But he also pointed fingers.
I put safety first. Obama, Biden, and the Democrats put policy first. The FAA's diversity and inclusion hiring plan, which says diversity is integral to achieving FAA's mission of ensuring safe and efficient travel. I don't think so.
When asked for evidence why DEI could be a factor.
Because I have common sense, okay?
This morning, the president appointed a former senior aviation official as the FAA's acting administrator. That role, among others at the agency, were left empty following resignations ahead of Trump taking office. In Washington, Brian Abel reporting.
And to stay up to date with the latest news, head to our website, WOUB.org, or download the WOUB app.
You know, Haley, kind of switching gears here, you know, it's been really warm. I mean, it almost reached 60 degrees here in Athens. So let's toss it right on over to Rachel. Now, Rachel, what's going on? Why is it 60 degrees in January?
That is from some warm fronts we are seeing passing through Ohio in the last few hours or so, but that's not the only thing that's coming our way. We're seeing some rain coming our way. So mostly cloudy throughout the day. Might have seen some sunshine earlier, but now seeing some rain coming in the next couple minutes, couple hours, and really continuing throughout Friday. But that's not the only thing that's coming. So most of us are sitting pretty in the higher 40s, being relatively warm for this time of year. Athens 47, same thing in Lancaster, and same thing in Parkersburg. So rather warm for this time of year, and that's really reflected on our current conditions in Athens. 45 outside right now in overcast skies, and these clouds will be sticking around for tonight with that low of 39 and that 100% chance of rain. And with all this rain coming our way, we'll be seeing most of us being under some flood watches starting tonight, going into really tomorrow morning and tomorrow evening, which I'll talk more about in my full weather forecast. For now, we're going back to Haley.
Thanks. State lawmakers again propose a bill they say will make childcare more affordable. House Bill 2 would have the state cover 1/3 of the cost of childcare. Employers and the employee would then split the remaining cost. If passed, this would be an investment of around $10 million over the next 2 years. State representatives say this is a solution to help the situation, but not a cure-all. The bill was previously put forward but did not pass before the end of last year.
On the other side of the State House, a new Senate bill could make major changes to marijuana laws in the state. The bill would decrease the amount of marijuana Ohioans can grow in their homes, dropping the limit from 12 plants to 6. The bill also strictly prohibits smoking in public. Senate Bill 56 would also raise the sales tax on the drug from 10% to 15%. All related tax revenue would be redirected to the state's general fund, unlike current law, which has pools of funds that go toward different purposes. This includes local municipalities with dispensaries or to a social equity and jobs program that the bill also abolishes. Senate leaders say the bill could head to the Senate floor as soon as next week. The Ohio State Highway Patrol is trying out a new test to determine if someone is driving under the influence of marijuana. The oral fluid test is a mouth swab that makes it easier to collect samples and is less invasive. The samples can be shipped to a crime lab for testing. Officials say this process has more benefits than taking blood or urine samples. The pilot program is expected to last for about a year.
Ohio is once again trying to add work requirements to Medicaid. Up to 450,000 Ohioans could lose coverage because of the change. That's according to the Center for Community Solutions. The state estimates closer to 62,000 people could lose their health insurance. Tara Britton for the Center for Community Solutions says many Ohioans would be exempt from the proposed requirements. Governor Mike DeWine said in a statement that this new rule will help fill jobs and promote self-sufficiency. The state needs the Trump administration's approval to make the change. Helping victims of human trafficking is now a click away. The state is expanding ways Ohioans can report human trafficking. Now, Ohio has its own human trafficking app. The End OHHT, now available to download for Android and iOS devices. This Ohio-specific hotline and app streamlines the process for reaching professionals who are trained in investigating human trafficking. To make a report, you can also call the number on your screen. For emergency situations, individuals should always call 911 immediately. State Republicans are going after warehouse grocery giant Costco to drop its diversity, equity, and inclusion policies. In a letter, Attorney General Yost and 18 other Republicans are demanding Costco get rid of their DEI policies. Costco has 30 days to act on this letter or give an explanation. Last week, Costco's shareholders voted to continue the company's DEI policies in the face of Republican pressure to abandon them. Democrat Senator DeMora says Yost is trying to impress President Trump to win his endorsement in the 2026 Republican primary for Ohio governor.
The White House continues its mission to cut DEI programs in the government. The latest agency to be targeted, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Yesterday, certain grant recipients at the CDC were given a memo notifying them of the termination. The memo says the U.S. government will provide no additional cost for DEI programs and activities. The order is sparking confusion in the medical world as it's unclear which grants were cut. It was a heated day on Capitol Hill as senators grilled President Trump's pick to lead the FBI. During the first Trump administration, Kash Patel served as Department of Defense Chief of Staff and as a senior National Security Council staffer. During his confirmation hearing, Patel says he disagrees with some of the president's pardons to people convicted for the January 6th insurrection. He says he opposes commuting the sentences of defendants who attacked police officers. Patel also criticized some of the pardons former President Joe Biden handed out shortly before leaving office. He says if confirmed, he will not politicize the FBI.
I have no interest, no desire, and will not, if confirmed, go backwards. There will be no politicization at the FBI. There will be no retributive actions taken by any FBI should I be confirmed as the FBI director. I told you that in your office, and I'll tell you that again today.
Patel has received some scrutiny over whether or not he is qualified to lead the FBI. Democrats are also concerned with a number of past controversial statements he's made, disparaging former national security officials and calling for drastic changes to the agency.
President of Mexico, Claudia Sheinbaum, is contesting the Gulf of Mexico name change. Sheinbaum sent a letter to Google explaining how the change does not apply in Mexico or other countries. President Sheinbaum also shared the letter on her daily press briefing. In response, Google says map users in the U.S. will see the Gulf of America on Google Maps, but users in Mexico will see the Gulf of Mexico. The rest of the world will see both names. And what you should know about LA's Fire Aid Benefit Concert.
We'll be seeing some rain tonight going into tomorrow, but will that stick around for the weekend? Stay tuned to see my weather forecast when Newswatch returns.
He was bigger than boxing.
Muhammad Ali was the most important man in the world.
He was larger than life.
His magnetism just was amazing. Who is this guy?
He was a revolutionary. He was a groundbreaker.
What are they going to say about that now, huh?
Ken Burns captures an intimate story of victory, defeat, and determination.
The price of freedom comes high. I have paid, but I am free.
Muhammad Ali.
Tonight at 9 on WOUB.
Did you know that you can donate property to WOUB Public Media? I'm WOUB Community Engagement and Membership Manager Sherry Russo. Donating property is a great way to support WOUB, and you may even claim a significant tax deduction. Properties in any location, condition, and format are eligible for donation to WOUB. Back taxes, mortgage balances, and deferred maintenance do not prohibit your ability to donate. Our program covers all loans, liens, commissions, and closing costs, so long as there is equity in the property. If you have a land, residential, or commercial real estate asset that's unused or costing you money, consider giving back to the station you love by donating it to WOUB.
And the process is easy. Go to WOUB.org and click the Support tab to learn about property donations, along with many other ways to support WOUB.
Good evening and welcome to sports. The Lloyd family has made a huge impact on Eastern High School, with Greg Lloyd being the boys' head coach, his son Colton being a star player, and Colton's mom doing the bookkeeping. Newswatch reporter Evan Johnson has more.
Eastern boys head coach Greg Lloyd has coached his son Colton since he was 5, but he has stepped into a new role this season, varsity head coach. For Colton, he says this is all normal.
I mean, it's pretty normal to me, obviously, since he's coached me my whole entire life, but whenever I'm on the court, I like to think of him as a coach rather than a dad. I obviously give him all the respect, even though he's my dad.
But basketball just hasn't brought Greg and Colton closer together, it's brought the whole family closer. Greg's wife currently does the bookkeeping for the team, and his daughter is on the middle school basketball team.
The love that we have for sports and basketball in particular kind of have brought us together as a family. So it's been fun.
Colton's mom was an Eastern alum, where she was a 1,000 career point scorer, as well as first team All-State in basketball and volleyball.
Having my family.
Well, let's go ahead and take a look at tonight's matchups. There's a lot of key games across the TVC tonight, especially between Athens and Alexander. With a win tonight, Athens officially clinches the TVC Ohio outright. An Alexander victory would put them in a game and a half back from the Bulldogs. Athens took the Spartans down earlier in the season 49-37. Another storyline to watch out for is Athens' Asa Holcomb is only 23 points away from scoring her 1,000th career point. Tip is set for 7 p.m. Another crucial matchup in the Ohio takes us to Nelsonville, York, where the Buckeyes will play host to River Valley. The Buckeyes are coming off their 4th conference win of the season against Wellston, while the Raiders are picked to win against Vinton County. River Valley has 13 of their last 15 contests, a huge momentum boost before tournament play. Switching over to the Hawking, where Trimble will play host to the Belpre Golden Eagles. The Tomcats picked up a huge non-conference win over Alexander on Tuesday, improving their record to 11-6 on the year. Belpre is still fighting for a share of the Hawking title, needing to beat Waterford and have the Wildcats lose their other remaining conference game against Eastern. Now let's go ahead and take a look at these standings. As I mentioned, Waterford only needs one win in their final 2 conference games to clinch the conference outright. But if Belpre wins tonight and loses to Waterford, Federal Hawking can rise up to a tie for second if they win out in conference. Trimble and Southern and Eastern round out the standings. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the TVC Ohio. As I mentioned a little bit earlier, Athens takes home the conference with a win tonight. With an Alexander victory, they would need to win out and have Athens lose one of their 2 remaining conference games against Vinton County or Nelsonville York to gain a share, and they can win it outright themselves if the Bulldogs drop both. River Valley can gain a share if Athens loses their remaining conference slate, and if Alexander loses one of their 2 remaining conference games, both against Meigs. Vinton County and Nelsonville York are still fighting to finish top 3 in the conference. Wellston and Meigs round out the standings. Major implications tonight in Albany, and to make sure you don't miss out on any of this action across the TVC, make sure to follow WOUB's Hardwood Heroes on Facebook, Instagram, X, and YouTube.
Thanks, Haley. That looks awesome. Still ahead, what you should know about LA's Fire Aid Benefit Concert.
But will that be the case for this weekend? Stay tuned to see my the forecast when Newswatch returns.
Everyone was trying to figure out who is this guy, why is he so important to the Venezuelan government.
Lo único que yo tenía claro es aquí se está escondiendo alguien.
Saab met with the DEA and the Federal Bureau of Investigation. He was someone who was playing both sides.
This is a story of corruption, of kleptocracy.
Cuando publicamos ese reportaje, como ya el campanazo de que esto se podía convertir a nosotros en una historia complicada.
Tuesday at 10 on WOUB.
Imagine reaching a point where your memories start to fade and you have no way of creating new ones.
Being subjected to long-term sensory deprivation.
We were placed in solitary confinement for decades.
Folks inside started thinking about ways to protest.
Let's do a nonviolent act. Let's do a hunger strike.
Monday at 10 on WOUB.
Stop skimming.
Stop scrolling.
Just listen.
100 years ago, today,
All Things Considered from NPR.
This is Passport. Your ticket to stream complete seasons, early releases, iconic series, and so much more.
This was perfect.
Donate to your local PBS station and start streaming today.
This week's slate of games is no joke and was sure to leave quite the impression.
And we'll have you covered all week long for all of your TVC basketball needs.
Make sure to stay up to date throughout the week with the Full Court Press and follow us on Instagram, X, and Facebook for updates all season long.
For written content, head to woub.org/heroes and tune in right here next Sunday night at 11 p.m. for episode 3 of Hardwood Heroes.
For all of us at Hardwood Heroes, we're reminding you
to be heroic.
Welcome back to Newswatch. I'm Rachel Grant, and today was a relatively cloudy day. Might have seen some sunshine throughout the morning, but some clouds have been moving in, and that's from this rain. This rain's been developing in the last 24, 48 hours, and now it's finally moving toward us. And that's really reflected with our recap for today, especially seeing some showers coming our way around right now. 30% chance of rain, high of 50, and we'll be seeing more rain as we're going into tonight. We've seen that low of 39 and that 100% chance of rain. If you are going out tonight, make sure you have that umbrella, the rain jacket, and just be sure that you're being careful and being slow on the road. And the same thing applies for tomorrow. Not getting a break from the rain anytime soon. that 90% chance of rain and that high of 59. So still relatively warm for this time of year, but we're going to be seeing a lot of rain coming our way in the next couple of hours. And with that being said, most of us under Athens are under a flood watch. So with this flood watch being mostly under Athens, it's important to note that this might change. The counties near Athens also might be underneath it come in a few hours, and that's from all this rain coming our way. So this flood watch really starts in effect from 1 a.m. tonight going into Friday evening. But again, this might change since we're seeing most of this rain come through tonight. Seeing most of us covered in yellows and oranges going through around midnight tonight, and as we catch a break going into tomorrow morning, most of us are in the green. So that's a lot of rain we'll be facing going into tonight and even early tomorrow morning. So with this, the big picture is these two low pressure systems really driving the storm toward us and really helping to expand the storm as we're going into tomorrow night. So we're seeing this big expansion for tomorrow night with most of the rain coming then. As we're going into Saturday, we're going to see most of it being cleared out with that mostly darker and lighter shades of green. So we're seeing lighter rain for our Saturday morning, but should be clearing out come Saturday afternoon. And that's reflected in our 3-day outlook too. We're going to be seeing high of 59 for tomorrow with mostly rain. As for Saturday, we'll be seeing a high of 44, and from that cold front passing through, that's why we're seeing such a huge dip. Going into Sunday, we've seen a high of 57 and mostly cloudy skies. We've seen consistent temps going into Monday and Tuesday as well. Similar conditions going into Monday with mostly cloudy skies. As for Tuesday, we're seeing a high of 48, partly sunny skies, and then the rain will quickly make a return with a high of 53 on Wednesday and a high of 55. So still relatively warm for the next week or so. Might be seeing some rain here or there tonight and especially going into next week, but we will surely catch a break going into the weekend.
I mean, yeah, it looks great out. I mean, me and Haley went to lunch out in Nelsonville today. I mean, even though it was kind of cloudy, it was still really nice.
Yeah.
I mean, it felt amazing compared to where we were last week when
yes.
we were like,
oh my gosh, yes.
Like Donovan
bundled up.
Yes,
and,
Donovan even said on the show Wednesday, he was walking and his hair froze. I mean, we were talking
about that, yeah.
Yes, I mean, it was just so cold. So, you know, with all of this rain, could we see, there's still some snow and there's still some ice out. Could we see some of that starting to melt?
Yes, so that's actually what's influencing the flood watch as we're going into tonight, starting around 1 a.m. That's really when they're starting to see like when the snow is starting to melt a little bit. So that'll especially influence the roads and those especially near rivers. So that's why the flood watch is really in effect. So that actually might come our way too, given we're near the Hocking River and with all the snow still being here. As that's melting throughout tonight, might be seeing some flood watches, flood warnings going out.
Yeah, I know. I'm for one, am very happy to see the ice go away. I mean, Haley,
we saw the little rivers running down by the roads today because it was starting to melt a little bit.
Starting to melt. People are slipping and sliding on there, slipping and sliding on the ice. I mean, it's crazy. Yeah. Thank you so much, Rachel.
Thank you.
After the historic wildfires in Southern California, thousands are donating to help pick up the pieces. Tonight, performers are coming together for a benefit concert to help. Maribel Gonzalez has more on the fundraiser.
But don't lose me.
I promise I won't.
You won't lose you, don't worry.
As the Eaton fire exploded in Altadena on January 8th, residents, including this 100-year-old woman, were guided out of their homes as thick smoke from the fire moved in.
Oh my gosh.
The historic wildfires, fueled by hurricane-like winds, ravaged through entire neighborhoods in Los Angeles County.
This was a passport. So now I don't even have a passport.
Considered among the most destructive and deadliest in the state's history, the Eaton and Palisades fires claimed at least 29 lives and collectively destroyed more than 16,000 structures. In this time of need, hundreds coming together to help those affected.
We'll be here until everything runs out or until the community doesn't need it anymore.
And now, a benefit concert to help those who lost everything. Or many who lost their homes, churches, and businesses during this disaster. Now another trial ahead of them.
A lot of people are in that boat right now where maybe the fires have gone away, but there's just so much that comes after.
What took days to burn will likely take years to rebuild.
Once debris is cleared,
The rebuilding process begins, and the planning and design can start now.
I'm Maribel Gonzalez reporting.
2 additional female victims have been added to the Sean Diddy Combs federal case. Today,
the superseding indictment alleges the crimes extended to 2 additional women. Combs is also charged with sex trafficking of victim 1. Combs has pleaded not guilty to the charges. Combs' trial is set to begin on May 5th in New York City. Next up, these sea creatures return home after a long recovery.
A second wave of migration was on the horizon. Another mass movement propelled by World War II would dwarf the first.
That journey was uncharted territory with great rewards.
My grandfather came from Shreveport, Louisiana, because he felt that he could flourish here.
I was 4 years old when I got to Detroit. That was a whole wonderful new experience for me.
Tuesday at 9 on WOUB.
There are thousands of discoveries. Wow.
This is huge. We are making history.
This is really exciting.
All those years, Wild Heart has stood steady here as many generations of animals and people have come and gone.
Looking at this fossil, we are glimpsing the last moments of a dinosaur's development in the egg.
Wednesday on WOUB.
On Masterpiece.
She won't eat. Can't work out why.
Oh, don't worry. We'll get to the bottom of it.
She just needs a right good gallop, Mr. Harriet.
Carmody's back. Couldn't help but notice both beds were made up.
Mr. Farnan didn't think you'd mind sharing.
Oh, there's a reptile on the prowl.
Smuggled in from abroad, apparently, by one of the soldiers.
All creatures great and small on Masterpiece.
Sunday at 9 on WOUB.
In hospital, you deal with cases. On the district, you deal with people. When mothers come to us, they bring everything they are with them.
There's nothing nicer than a fresh start.
You have done your best. Sometimes our best must be enough.
We're gonna take good care of you. We're with you now.
Been bought for $50 at a Minnesota garage sale. A group of experts at LMI believes the painting is Vincent van Gogh's. The painting is called Elmar's, and it's an oil canvas depicting a man puffing a pipe at a beach. A single hair was found in the surface of the painting. After studying the hair, male DNA was detected. However, it still isn't known if it's Van Gogh's. They also found a finishing that Van Gogh used to protect other canvases to believe Elmar is his.
Nearly 400 sea turtles were released back into the Gulf of Mexico at Cape San Blas in Florida. Awesome. The turtles were just some of the nearly 1,200 that had to be rescued after becoming cold stunned. It's a condition that happens when water temperature drops below 50 degrees, which causes the turtles to become comatose. Florida's First Lady Casey DeSantis and her young daughter were also on hand for Wednesday's release. The turtles were released in batches, and the entire process took about an hour and a half. Florida was one of several southern states that was hit with a blast of winter weather last week. I'm really glad those turtles got back all right.
I know. Look at them. They look great. They look happy. I mean, but you know, I'm just surprised we're talking about cold weather in Florida.
In Florida, I know.
But guess what? It's not cold here. Well, it is, but like not really.
No, it is not. It's still relatively warm, especially for this time of year. I mean, look at tomorrow, high of 59, but still lots of rain coming our way. And as for Saturday and Sunday, we'll be catching a break from the rain with partly mostly cloudy skies. But going into Monday and Tuesday, rather consistent and seeing some rain for the midweek.
Thanks, Rachel.
Yeah, thank you so much. And that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks so much for watching.
Yeah, stay tuned for the PBS NewsHour coming up next. And remember, you can find the latest news anytime at WOUB.org. Have a great night.
Support for PBS NewsHour is proudly provided by Luke S. Frazier. Support comes from Goldsberry Wealth Strategies in Athens and Parkersburg, focusing on helping people achieve a life well lived with a custom strategy. Information at goldsberrywealth.com. Raymond James Financial Services Incorporated, member FINRA, SIPC.